Wow, okay. So my favorite actor and comedian, Bob Newhart, just passed away. And as if you know me, I study how fictional narratives point towards our desire for God. And this delves, looking at Bob Newhart, this delves into there's like so many areas under this. Like comedy itself could be a whole subtext, which we see with Bob Newhart. We see personal preferences, what my personal taste in film and TV and even comedy says about my desire for God. And then you look particularly with Bob Newhart, where you can look at very particular creatives. So I'm going to sort of delve into this a little bit, why I like Bob Newhart, what his style says. Honestly, and I think the biggest thing for me with Bob Newhart is my sense of humor can be described as dry, adult, and absurd, which you did not, and I like a good bit of wit too, which you don't get much in American comedy. That's more of a British comedy. And Bob Newhart is actually smart. I think I read somewhere he's an INTP on the Myers-Briggs. So he's probably very smart. There's a lot of wit, a lot of subtext with a lot of his jokes. You have to think about it. And a good example, I was trying to think of this, for example, is on the show Newhart, he asks for talk to a guy. He finds out he went to Israel, and he asked for a second guy who died. And he said, give my sympathies to his wife. Well, it turns out his wife went to Israel, so you would have to read the subtext to know she killed her husband and ran off to Israel with someone else. Like, that's kind of the joke, and that shows he's very adult too. Like, he could be adult. I mean, the routine USS Codfish references sinking Japanese ships, as well as door being stolen indirectly. And so, really, a lot of my taste in film, I tend to want to deal with serious themes without feeling the weight of them. And comedy, God gave us comedy to show how really so we can make light of serious subjects. And my love of dry humor comes from that. It's like you have this feeling of like something serious, but someone's acting like it's nothing, right? And that's why it's so funny. And we see a lot of that in Bob Newhart. And the thing I like too is he's very optimistic, right? We're looking for joy in unpleasant things. And his stand-up routines was one-man sketch shows and just these really unpleasant situations. Probably most famously King Kong, where he's the night watchman in the Empire State Building. The night King Kong climbs the Empire State Building. But you see a lot of it in his two shows, the Bob Newhart Show and Newhart, which I'm in the first season of Newhart, watching it on Prime. And also, if for the younger generation who's not seen his older stuff, he did a cameo. If you grew up in the 90s, he did a cameo in The Simpsons when Krusty faked his death, and he's asked to speak at Krusty's funeral. That even though he never knew Krusty and just happened to be in the same cemetery, that's a very Bob Newhart thing, like just situations like that. Or in the movie Elf, where he played Papa Elf. Once again, his dry humor in this unpleasant situation. And I think that's, and like there's a certain optimism where like, yeah, you end up in these situations, even with some quirky characters, but you know what? It's still optimistic. It's still trying to say it's all good, and I find God in that. Like, when we realize we have God's life, it's all good. And even in just various unpleasant situations. But yeah, so like I said, if you want other, like I said, you can watch his two shows. If you want to look them up, are called Newhart, the Bob Newhart Show. My three favorite, like I said, you can look up his SNL sketch, Postal Workers, the Postal Workers sketch on SNL, which, by the way, probably, like, I just love how that one ends. But there also his stand-up routines, King Kong, USS Codfish, Air Traffic Control are the three top off my head. But anyway, I just had to get that out of my head, clear that all out. All right, love you all. I hope to post more soon. I need to really cut back on caffeine. I've been wanting to do a video on speaking in tongues. I also have a whole bunch of other TV movie commentaries I do want to do. But yeah, so I'm James Michael Tuttle, and if you've seen The Empty Tomb, you've seen the Father.